Hello and welcome to another video. In this video I will be showcasing some drawings that I did for Inktober this week. And the theme that I chose is orders of birds. So I listed out all 28 orders of birds, and including some other ones from the simplified taxonomic classification. And I assigned each of those birds a number and put that number every day into a random number generator so that I get a different bird each time. And I think this makes the challenge a little bit more fun for me. I don't know if you've tried something similar, but this seems to be working out. And so for the first day, I chose Accipitriformes, or I picked Accipitriformes. And the bird that I chose as the representative is a golden eagle. I took this photo of a golden eagle at the Cascades Raptor Center when he was out of his enclosure. And I'm using P.H. Martin's matte black ink, as well as a Pentel pocket brush for some of these. And I'm also using Dr. P.H. Martin's gold iridescence ink later on in the video for each of these drawings. And this is something that I've been wanting to kind of experiment around a little bit with. So I've been wanting to do some realistic but organic shapes combined with geometric shapes and match them together and see how they look, and Inktober's given me a really good way of starting that off. So I'm trying a bunch of different new compositions that I probably wouldn't have tried otherwise. I used a Tillamook yogurt container to figure out the circle. And here I am putting some of that delicious gold ink onto the paper. I'm using Strathmore Multimedia paper for this as well. Day 2 was Galliformes, and I chose a sharp-tailed grouse from a bird cabinet that is downstairs in Cordley Hall at Oregon State University. And they've got tons of birds down there. I will be probably using a lot of those birds as reference as the challenge goes on. I did this particular drawing in the biosphere, which is just a place that students and other people can just come up to and hang out at the biology department at Oregon State. So I just set up my iPad there and worked on it there. And then later at home I started adding the gold ink. I decided to do a horizontal rectangle for the geometric shape with this bird. The ink has a very smooth quality, but does take a few extra coats to ensure that it completely covers the surface. So day 3 I drew Troogoniformes, and I decided to do a resplendent quetzal. And this bird is not really found anywhere in captivity near me. It's actually found at the Dallas Zoo, and that was about the closest I could get. So I used a bunch of internet references for this one. At first I wanted to draw it flying, and then I realized that the bird was way too long to fit it on the page in that kind of pose. And so I decided to go with a standard perching pose with the bird kind of sitting on some bark. And you can see that I made a lot of changes to it just to make sure that it fit really well on the page. It was about at this time when I really started feeling comfortable with the inks that I was using and just trying to get back into the flow of things. For work, I've been doing mostly digital artwork, so I try to fit as much traditional artwork as I can in, but sometimes it's kind of hard. For the nibs, I'm actually using a speedball kit for sketching. So I alternate between using the larger globe or standard pen nib and the crow quill nib. I also got some of the ink cleaner that's used with the Dr. P.H. Martin's inks, and it works amazing. The ink just kind of came off of it in like 10 seconds flat. And I'm adding the gold to this one. I decided to do a series of triangles. I think they framed the bird really well. For day 4, I drew Charadriiformes for the order. And this is a really diverse order that includes gulls, waders, and auks. At first, I was going to draw one of the birds from the case down in Cordley, and the hallway was a little bit too dark, so I decided to go home. I have a ton of pictures of auks from the Newport Aquarium, and I captured this really beautiful photograph of a tufted puffin there, so I decided to use that as my reference. I didn't record the sketch for this one because I forgot. I also forgot on the next one too. For the background, I decided to do a bunch of small triangles, so I printed out a bunch of triangles on cardstock and cut them out and used those as a template for the pattern. And it turned out to be really complicated, so I started trying to simplify things in the next couple of days. Day 5 was Falconiformes. For this, I chose to do a Merlin, and I also used another one of my reference photographs for this. A couple years ago, I went to the Bird Symposium in winter that was held at Oregon State University, and they had some people from the wildlife rehabilitation place up here, Chintimony, and they brought this adorable little Merlin. So I took a bunch of pictures. They had some other birds. They had a sparred owl, a turkey vulture, and a red-tailed hawk. And I haven't actually drawn a Merlin before this, so it was really fun. And for the geometric shape, I chose to do a larger triangle. I was very tired after the day 4 where I was doing like 20 triangles, so I decided to do a nice large triangle that framed in the angle of his wings. For day 6 of Inktober, I chose Opisthocomiformes, which basically is Hoatzins, or Hoatzins. They're the only extant member of this order, and they're really interesting birds. They're also called stink birds as an alternate name, and that's because they ferment foliage in their crop, and they're the only bird, as far as I know, that's known to do so. And another really interesting thing about them is that their young actually have little claws on their wings that they can use to climb back up trees if they fall out of the tree. I also didn't have any live references of Hoatzins, so I looked up a bunch of pictures online and tried to combine some images together. They have very weird anatomy. They have almost like a turkey-like body, but they also kind of look like dinosaurs. It was very fun to draw this one. And for the background, I chose a upright rectangle. And I finally found a flat brush, so it made putting the gold down a little bit easier. And for the final day this week, I chose Bucerotiformes, which is hornbills. This isn't actually part of the simplified classification, but I added it to the list anyways because I love hornbills. They're really interesting birds. A lot of them forage on the ground, but many of them have life cycles where the female puts herself in a tree and she finds basically a hollowed out tree and imprisons herself inside the tree, and then the male feeds her while she takes care of their babies. It's a good way of keeping them safe as they're growing up. This is a African red-billed hornbill that I took some pictures of at the Oregon Zoo. Many of the birds in that aviary did not want to be photographed. It was kind of difficult getting some clear pictures of him. And I also chose 2 rectangles for the geometric shapes in this one. So that's it. Here's kind of an overview of the pieces that I just showed you. Please let me know if you like this kind of video, what you might want to see more of in the future. I was contemplating doing a video every single day, but I thought that was a little bit crazy to do on top of work and whatnot. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, please give us a like or maybe even subscribe. And I hope to see you next time.